Dude, I don't even know how to start this one off. Yo, what's up, guys? Uh, yo, what's up, guys? Yo, what up, guys? God, why is this so awkward? Yo, what up, guys? Okay, we're back into it for another tutorial, and we're going to talk about OTT this time. A lot of artists that use OTT, and they use way too much of it, like way too much, and it actually destroys the sound quality of your base designs as well. I'm gonna give you guys a short little example on like moderation and applying OTT and like how much you should use preferably. I mean, but it's all subjective anyways. So yeah, hopping in, this is a simple little bass patch that I made, Serum. So yeah, a little something. I actually think I'm going to be giving away this this preset too in my Serum pack coming up here soon, so be on the lookout for that. Anyways, so yeah, this I'm using OTT inside of Serum as well, but post-processing, right? So when you're using OTT in post-processing, I sometimes hear people use more than like 3 OTTs, and at that point, unless you're like really trying to unless you're like doing FM from like a square to a sine wave and you're just compressing it really like hard with tons of OTT to get the actual sound you want, unless you're doing it like that, it might be okay in that instance. But for bass patches like this, like, you really don't need that much OTT, because OTT is just upward compression, right? So if you're upward compressing a bass patch like an audio wave so much, then you're actually going to kill the characteristics of the sound. You're going to kill like the dynamic, the growls, and then most importantly, you're going to enhance the high end. So it's just going to be like really washy and filled with white noise. So you want to be careful. So hopping in, what I usually do, I usually have a lot more for my post-processing, but to save CPU, I'm just going to do a little bit. So what I usually start off with is saturation. I just use a tiny bit of saturation just to brighten up the harmonics a little bit and really trying to like beef it out. So just a little bit, and then I put on my OTT at the end. So OTT is really important depending on where you put it in your effects chain as well, because it can make a ton of difference. So if you have a bunch of like plugins, try like moving your OTT around. And you'll get different results. It's the same way with like inside of Serum. Like if you put all this before your OTT, it's going to enhance that, as if you're putting it at the end or down below, like it could actually change the sound as well. So play with it a little bit. So this is the first OTT that's put on. If you guys aren't familiar with OTT, just a quick rundown. The depth is pretty much your dry and wet signal. So how much you're putting in, how much of the signal you're putting into the plugin. And then the time is basically just the release and the attack and release. That's pretty much it. And you can dabble around with this as well, and the depth too. If you just want a little bit of OTT, then you can probably just like bring it down to like 40 and then do some other plugins and then do another OTT and then like maybe give a little bit more. Every sound is different. And then your in gain and out gain, you always got to bring down your out gain, or else it's just going to peak a lot if you're not doing your downward compression as well. For this particular patch, let's see. Sometimes you can play around with the low, and sometimes you can like squash the low end so much into the upward compression that it'll actually like make a different sound or enhance some characteristics of the bass patch that you want to stick out to. Yeah, it actually sounds pretty cool. So yeah, we'll just leave it cranked up. I sometimes apply downward, but not too much, but upward, right? So if you go over 100, like that already starts to destroy the sound already. I go between 50 to 100% personally for my own patches. I just felt like that's sometimes the sweet spot. So that's our first OTT. So that's the first one, and then let's start adding on the other ones, and then I'll start to show you by example so you guys can actually hear. So it's basically the same one. The first one just duplicated. Okay, and then we can do like another one, and then the last one. So as you can hear, let's actually just bring up the out a little bit. So, like, as soon as you start hearing those clicks and those pops, that's usually the first indicator that maybe it's a little bit too much. Right, so you can hear the compression like popping and clicking from how hard it's actually compressing the signal, and then once you release, that's where the pop is coming from, because it's coming from so much applied pressure, and then once it's done, it's basically just snapping back. And you can hear too that the characteristic of the sound is basically just washed away at this point. Like there's no mid-end information that gives it that nice crunchy like bass growl. And the high end, anywhere from like 2K to like 13K, is just white noise at that point. I mean, the real information sounds like is probably between 600 to 1K, and then everything else is just destroyed. So just be mindful and careful about how you're applying your OTT. Yes, you can make some really crazy sounds out of it, but as well, like as soon as you can start hearing your sound dissipate from what you wanted it to sound like and what you started off with, then that's your first indicator that, okay, maybe this is too much, and like ease off. And if that is the case, you can use other plugins as well. Like you can do more saturation. You can try different types of modulation and distortions as well. So there's tons of other plugins that you can use to beef out your sound without just slapping a bunch of OTTs on it just to upward compress it. And people will notice. Like I have people who send me tracks all the time, and I'm like, yo, like take off all your 8 bands of OTT and probably just keep 2. Like people can hear. So you want the characteristics of the bass patch to really stand through. And if you're applying all this, like it's just going to destroy it. So now I'm going to ease off. I'm going to take these 2. Yeah, I'll leave these. Yeah, let's do the second one and just like mix in just a little bit. Like we'll do 60%, and then yeah, that sounds pretty good. Yeah, like that just sounds horrible. Like it just sounds, yeah, and you can see it right there. It's just frozen on because it's just so much like pressure that it just holds off. There we go. Yeah, so I would, yeah, just use maybe 2, and then like, so in this example, like what I would do is I would probably get another saturator and then saturate it just a little bit more at the tail end, and then just call it good for the bass patch. So whenever you're applying effects, you always want to do it in moderation. So like, you know, mix it in just a little bit. Like with my saturation over here, I just have a little bit as well. So less is more. Less is more. If you apply way too many effects and you're just cranking all of them, it's just going to destroy your sound. So yeah, I hope this helped. If you guys have any more questions about OTT or like post-processing, let me know. And drop a comment, let me know what you guys think, and let me know what to do next tutorial on. And I'll see you on the next one.